Hello and welcome to part 2 of my 2-part series on how to make your own Doctor Who titles. Now there was a bit of a delay between this and the last one, but I finally found time to make the tutorial and here it is. So today we're going to be doing the 2009 titles, and just a heads up, there'll be a link on the screen right now to the part 1. I strongly advise you to watch that first and then watch this one, because there'll be a few things in the last video we'll be using in this video that I won't be explaining again. So just in order for you to completely get what we're doing in this video, I advise you to go watch the last one. So let's get started. So first things first, you're going to import the clean David Tennant titles. The titles I advise you go with is the Totally Clean Planet of the Dead titles, which there's a YouTube link on the screen right now. And just like they say in the title, they are totally clean, as you can see here. So that's what I use, and then you're going to right click and just insert video track. So now we're ready to add the names, and just like before, we're going to go into Blufftitler. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go to Media, change font, and you're going to change font to Futura LT Condensed. Now, some of you may not have this on your computer, and unfortunately I can't tell you how to get it, because I don't actually remember how I got this on mine. So in here, you're going to want to type the name of your doctor. I'll just type in my name. Make sure you've got capitals on, and press enter for the second name. And there we go. So it's looking a bit bland right now, so we're going to go to change effect. Scroll down to reflection map.fx like the last one, and we get that shiny colour. Now the two names are too spaced out, so you're going to want to go to spacing, and this middle slider you're going to just slide down a little bit till it's about there. That's looking a bit better. Now you're going to want to go to text position. Now this is when we start doing the animating. Now, unlike the last one, the animation isn't quite as simple as moving through it. You know, it spins, it moves, it goes left to right. So we're going to spend a lot more time in Blufftitler getting that right. It took me a little while before I got it exactly right. So instead of trying to sit here for a few hours trying to recreate that animation, I'm going to cheat a little bit and use the save that I've used when I was doing requests. Now, as you can see, there's a whole lot of keyframes here, and I spent ages trying to refine them until they were perfect. So I'm going to scroll through this very, very slowly, and I'm counting on you to where each keyframe is, or round about where each keyframe is, have the text exactly where it is on my screen at each keyframe, and hopefully you won't have to spend too much time recreating this. As you can see there, it's just a slow movement, and then it speeds through and extends. Now of course you don't know how to do that extend bit yet, so to do this you're going to have to go to this keyframe here, and you're going to go to character size, and down at the slider where it says round bevel, you're going to want to put that right up. And then in the text box, you're going to want to type in about 15 for that keyframe there. And of course the last keyframe is just it speeding through. So yeah, that's that animation done. You can pause the video here and try and recreate it. Obviously pausing at each keyframe to try and get the animation exactly right. It may not be the best in a tutorial, you know, leaving it to do yourself, but it's the best option and way better than trying to figure out the animation yourself. So you're going to want to render those titles, and now we're going to do the companions. Now the companions titles isn't exactly the same as the Doctor's, but again I'm going to scroll through this very slowly, and at each keyframe try and recreate that on your own screen. So as you can see, slowly comes round. Now this one is slightly longer probably about half a second longer than the Doctor's. That's because the end part where it extends is slightly longer than the Doctor's. So as you can see there, it goes right to the end of the maximum time you can get Blufftitler, whereas the Doctor's only goes to about there. So now we're back in Sony Vegas. So what you're going to do is import your two titles, and then we're going to time them right. Now obviously in the animation you can only get a certain length, so this is pretty much making them a bit longer and timing them right to the titles. So just where the Doctor, comes into full view, comes to straight about there, you're going to want to press S to split and move this over here. As you can see, there's a previous titles underneath I'm using for reference. Obviously you won't have a reference, but do this anyway. You're going to want to hold Control and drag it across. Like that. So it just makes it a bit slower, and now you see where the 50 frames per second comes in the render settings. The last part you can leave normal for the Doctor. So now it's the same for the companion, except for it's just before the titles speed away. So about there, you're going to want to press S to split, and then hold Control, and elong it to about there. So now we're going to add the effects. Now, you do the same with the chroma key and the colour curves, and the colour corrector, which we'll get in a second. But just a tip for any project you might be doing which uses the same, the same theme, you can right click the previously affected one, copy, and you can right click on the new one and click paste event attributes. Now what it does is make the new titles exactly the same as the last one, only with the new name. And as you can see here it says mine. So we're going to go into the effects of that. And now again what you're pretty much going to do is you're going to copy this into your own. So chroma key again. Now here's the colour corrector. I'll zoom in on that, keep it paused. I have a preset for this as well called DW2009. But you just want to copy all the numbers into your own. In colour curves, it's exactly the same. So once you've added this effect to all your titles, exactly the same for each one, I added a bit more movement in the video track to make it more dramatic. So if you click this box here, Event Pan Crop, and make sure you have this ticked, Sync Cursor, you want to drag this to the start and click on the keyframe here. And what I did was zoom out so it has further to travel when it zooms back in again. So then you're going to go to the bit just as it's turning around and right click and click restore, and that'll put it back exactly to the place where it was at the start. So as you can see, it zooms in more than it normally would with just the animation. And I also did it with the companions. Again, zoom out, and back in again. I also went slightly to the left with the companions in order to make it zoom in from the left. Also adds to the effect. And that's just about it. Once you've got those to your liking, you can once again highlight, file, render as, and render it as whatever you like. So that's about everything you need to know on how to make your Doctor Who titles. Hopefully you learned how to use more of Sony Vegas and Blufftitler for even any project that involves both. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you do use any of these tutorials, please send me a message with your titles in them. That will 1, let me see your work, see if it's successful, and 2, see if my tutorials actually work. So hope you enjoyed these tutorials, and thank you for listening. Hello, welcome to my part 2 of